Good evening, everybody. Monday morning quarterback, episode 65. Hope you had a good start to your week and a good Monday. And we are hoping for some dry weather this week. Last week, Trevor and I took off to Southern Illinois Raceway in Marion, Illinois for the High Bank Hustle. Got practice night in, and then the rest of it was washed out. So as bad as it sucked for us, it was really painful for the folks that drove all the way from California and didn't get to race. So we left there with hopes of catching the USAC race at Putnamville, and that got rained out as we were headed there. So we kept on trucking and went to Mini Indy and caught the Big Ben Memorial. And so that was a good race at our local quarter midget track, 120 cars or so. Was cool to see a lot of quarter midget customers and a lot of those kids pick up wins in preparation for this week's Robbie Stanley Memorial at Mini Indy, which then blends into Battle at the Brickyard next week, which is the largest quarter midget race of the year, and two events that we'll be at. So want to give a shout out to our buddy Robert Ballou and hope that he has a speedy recovery. Robert won the Bob Darlin Memorial last night, and coming to the checkered, a lap car got into the fence and came to a stop right in front of him, and he turned to try to avoid it and slid into the back of his car with the side of his and severely broke his arm. So spoke with Robert today. He had surgery late last night, early this morning, and is going to have another surgery Wednesday. So the Madman's going to be out for a little while. And it's too bad. He looked really, really fast last night and was just catching stride before sprint week. So thoughts and prayers with him as he gets ready for a long road to recovery. And it seems like just a few years ago he broke his back and was out for a while. So hate to see that happen. So tonight we are going to talk about how you would prepare for Speedweek. And we know there's a bunch of those going on. We just got through a couple midget weeks and Ohio Speed Week, but still coming up. A lot of our micro guys are getting ready for California Micro Week, which kicks off tomorrow night. I wish we were out there for that. Those are a lot of tracks that I grew up racing at every week. So one of these years I'm going to jam out there for California Micro Week. So sad to miss that. And then we still have Indiana Sprint Week coming up. So wanted to give you guys an idea of how I would prepare for 4, 5, 6, 7 nights in a row of racing if I was in charge of the team. So just give you a little insight on that. And I will jump into that, kind of go through this list that I've prepared and explain a little bit of the list and why I put it on there. And then I'll answer all your tech questions when we're done. I hope some of you got to race last weekend with all this terrible weather. So here is my list. And the first thing is be prepared for the worst. So my dad always told me, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And that is certainly the case if you're going to embark on a week of racing. And that is preparing for the worst as far as potential crashes and stuff getting tore up, but also just weather. Making sure you got a canopy packed for the hot days and you've got a tarp packed in case you get a summer rain shower and you're trying to not have your pit area be a swamp. Sunscreen in the trailer. Just get yourself a nice list of everything you think you're going to need, not race car related, and be prepared. Have all that stuff loaded up for you. The second thing on my list is to have a realistic set of goals. So I think those should include nightly goals and then a goal for the week. What do you want to achieve and what do you want to get out of this week? So the third thing on my list is the most important to me, and that's being clean and organized, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. So having the next thing is trailers stocked with essentials. So having all that stuff organized is going to be vital to the success of your week. So you might look and say, yep, I got enough oil filters, but you're not considering the amount of times you're going to have to service in that week. So jot down how many nights of racing, how many services you're going to have to do, and make sure that you got adequate supplies and that everything's organized, because you're going to have a lot more stuff crammed in your trailer than you would for a normal Saturday night race. So it needs to be organized. You need to know where all that is. You don't want to waste time on your maintenance days, or preparing for maintenance before you head to the track that day, organizing your trailer. That's something that should be done before you leave. So that's kind of 2 in 1 there, being clean and organized and having your trailer stocked. The next thing is being prepared with a good maintenance routine. So you're going to have to do a week's worth of work, what you would typically do after a Saturday night race, and not be ready again until the next Friday or Saturday. You're going to have to do all of that in a 3 to 4 hour time span. And it's certainly doable, but what you need to do is prioritize what's important, the things that absolutely have to be done every day to ensure success and not have any mechanical failures, and then the things that you can maybe do every other day. So it might be something you do every week in between, but when you're racing 4, 5, 6 nights in a row, you don't have 8 to 10 hours to turn your car before the next event. So you need to prioritize what's important, what has to get done every single week or every single day, and then what you can do every other day. And so if you have a list and you're prepared ahead of time, that's just one less thing to worry about when you're on the road. Number 6 is pre-building any spares you have. So if you've got all the parts for a front axle, put it together. If you've got all the parts for a spare rear end, assemble it. Every radius rod in your trailer should have rod ends, jam nuts, and be pre-sized if possible. Make sure all of that stuff is pre-built. You don't want to crash in a main event, and then the next night in your maintenance, you're getting your wing tree out, and it doesn't line up, and you're having to drill holes and fabricate stuff in a hotel parking lot or at the racetrack. Make sure every spare you have has been on your race car, it fits, and it will be a seamless transition in the event that you need to use it. The next one, number 7, is to mount and groove all your tires ahead of time. Now, that's not necessarily an option or totally feasible, as you probably are going to consume more tires than you have wheels. But if you get your tires ahead of time, you can mount them up, groove them up, dismount them, and that way when you get to the point where you need that tire, you already know what size it is. You're just going to mount it on the wheel, and it's already grooved and everything, and that can happen much quicker than needing to do all of that. So if you have the time before you leave, it's much more enjoyable to do that at home in a low pressure environment than rushing to get it done. Number 8, for those of you that are going to be hitting car washes, make sure you have plenty of quarters, because you'll go through $10 to $20 a night depending on the car wash, and there's nothing worse than pulling into a car wash at 2 a.m. and the quarter machine doesn't work, and now you're trying to find a convenience store that can get you quarters, and it's just cutting into your sleep time. So get $100 worth of quarters, keep it in the truck so you're ready to wash every night. And that brings me to my next thing. I'm a big fan of working at night whenever possible. If it's really hot, you get done racing, your adrenaline's high, you prep the car for the car wash, you wash the car. While you're already awake and rolling and everything's out, you might as well service the thing. Clean the trailer, do your maintenance, everything. Even if it runs to 4 or 5 in the morning, load it up. And then you can sleep in a nice air-conditioned hotel room or in your toter home, whatever it is. And while the rest of your competitors are out working in the sun and going to arrive at the track wore out, you're going to be fresh, sleep in, get a lunch, head to the track. I like working at night when it's really, really hot out in the summer, because it's one less time you got to unload everything, and you're already dirty from the racetrack. So number 10 is just making sure you have you get a sufficient amount of sleep. So if you're organized, you should be able to do all of your maintenance and everything, even if you get banged up a little bit, in 3 to 4 hours. So, but you got to be organized to do that, because again, you're cramming what you would normally do in a week into 3 or 4 hours. So you need to be getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, and you could sustain that for a week. But getting 2 hours of sleep a night is hard to sustain. So it's going to vary depending on your travel between events and stuff, but if you're organized and everything goes smooth, you should be able to get a sufficient amount of sleep. And then the last thing was just to have fun. Getting to go race every night and act like you're a professional race car driver, even though a lot of us aren't, or a professional race mechanic. It's fun. It's fun to do in short stints. I did the Outlaw Tour for several years as a kid, and and it's a grind, man. And so getting to do it for a short stint and experience it, have fun with it. It'll give you a new appreciation for what those guys do pounding up and down the road. And I think if you asked any of those crew chiefs, the key to a successful World of Outlaw or like USAC or ASCS All-Star operation is just being extremely prepared when they go into the season and making sure that all their ducks are in a row. And you're going to get a bunch of curveballs thrown at you, but if you're standing there waiting for them, it makes it a lot easier to take. So I will come over and see what kind of questions we have. We have 25, 30 of you guys tuned in. Fire away questions, racing questions, pit logic questions, questions about a speed week, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you all for tuning in. So far, no questions. Kevin Crum, our app developer for Pit Logic, he's been working hard in the background, working on some new features that will be rolling out in the not too distant future. A maintenance tab and a tire library are kind of a couple things that Kevin's been working on. They're actually racing Speedweek in California this week, chance is. So there won't be a lot going on with it this week, but we hope as we get a little farther along in summer to have some more features for you there. For quarter midget folks, I've actually been the past hour or so here at the shop collecting all of my notes, getting my best setups from Robbie Stanley races and Battle at the Brickyards. And so I'll be uploading a bunch of Robbie Stanley setups and Battle at the Brickyard setups to Pit Logic, so you can expect those in the morning sometime. So that'll give you guys a good idea of where you need to be for that kind of stuff if you're traveling in for that race. What else we got going on? After we get through the Brickyard, then heading to Deming, Washington for the Clay Cup, and considering going out to Colorado for the Eastern Grands. Mark, will the update be prior to Indy next week? No, it won't be. No, it won't be available by next week. I will have the setups up tomorrow, so you'll be able to upload the setups. So, anybody else that's tuned in have questions about what's been going on with your race car, or what we covered tonight, or Pit Logic, I would be more than happy to answer those for you. Thanks, Dave, for tuning in. Dave just stocked us up with carbon fiber receiver and switch mounts for the helmets and headrests, so we'll have a bunch of his products available at our trailer at the Stanley and the Brickyard. We will have our trailer at both of those events for the quarter midget people tuned in, so if there's something you need us to bring, let us know. We'll be prepared with everything to fix and revalve shocks and have some springs and stuff, but if there's something in particular you need, make sure you let us know. We'll have it set aside for you. The road schedule for August. Haven't looked that far ahead. Traditionally, we've done Knoxville. We're considering not doing Knoxville this year and doing the Eastern Grands. We have that new quarter midget shock we're going to unveil at Brickyard, so we thought we might travel west with that a little bit. Let me look. Where'd my calendar go? I think we've also got Sprint Week, obviously. Well, no, Sprint Week's in July. Wrong time. Kokomo Smackdown. They rescheduled that High Bank Hustle, but unfortunately it's during the Kokomo Smackdown. And then we'll be going to Darlington for the National Quarter Midget Race at the end of the month. So, got a fair bit going on there in August. And in September, we got the BC 39 at IMS. And the big thing in September is Hudson turns 5, and we can start racing some quarter midgets. So that'll be fun. We'll do the 4 Crown and some races with Hudson there in September. So. Evan, come check out some dirt track if we make it to Colorado. If we get out there, we might be able to do that. My wife with a nice comment. Somehow I think that's Hudson. I think he was commenting that he's excited to start quarter midget racing. Samson, I won't be at the rescheduled Hustle because of it being on top of the Smackdown, which is a big USAC race for us. Steven, we're not going to be at Arcoma. We're hitting the 10,000 to win race in November. Yeah, in November. That's going to be the next time we're through Texas. So the Knoxville 410 Nationals is after the Grands, but the 360 Nationals, the Grands blend right into it, Mark. So anybody else have any questions before we sign off on this Monday night? And then some of you guys have commented on that post as far as what you would like to see in future episodes of Monday Morning Quarterback. We're taking those into consideration, and we're actually working on a couple of those now. This morning I actually uploaded the 3 most recent additions to YouTube. So if you've got any race friends who aren't on Facebook, they can catch every episode up through 64 on our YouTube page. Please like and subscribe while you're there. And do the same here. Like and share our videos. That helps us grow our reach and continue to do what we're doing for you guys. So thank you for all of your support as always. We hope you have a fantastic week. And hopefully get to see a bunch of you at the races this weekend. Take care.